The Marvel Universe is being overrun by Skrulls, who have arrived and have begun taking over. They have countless sleeper agents implanted across government agencies and superhero teams. At this point in our story, the Skrulls' plan has started as our heroes discovered Elektra was a Skrull. They began their assault, but our heroes were all drawn to the Savage Land, where they began trying to figure out what's going on. It is there that Tony got separated from everyone as a virus entered his suit and the planet began to fall. To make matters more confusing, a ship of more superheroes arrived, all claiming to be the real superheroes. This storyline is from around the late 2000s. It is one of my favorite stories from back in that era because it was just so big and bombastic, something I don't expect us to get in the TV show. That's why I wanted to bring you guys this audio drama because we are a Comicstorian. We take comic books and create complete stories, which are audio dramas of 2 to 3 issues. And then we take full stories, which are audio dramas of entire runs of comics. The purpose of this is to allow you to keep up with comics and know what to add to your collection at your local comic book store or digital retailer. So let's get into Secret Invasion issues 3, 4, and 5 to continue our story. The SHIELD helicarrier has crashed into the ocean. Maria Hill orders everyone to get a status update and heads to the flight deck. Her eyes widening in shock as she sees Jarvis standing on the deck, lightning and rain crashing around him. Well, that's just peaches, she whispers, and Jarvis turns with a smile, walking towards her. I was wondering if you'd be ever so kind as to offer us your full and total surrender. Meanwhile, over at Thunderbolt Mountain, Venom is launched away after mounting a counterattack. Mar-Vell prepares to kill another of the Thunderbolts, but pauses as a tear falls from his eyes. You can't do it, can you? Norman asks as he pulls himself out of the rubble. And my guess is that you're not exactly who you're dressed as, he says as he rubs a cut on his head. He smiles, holding out a hand. My name is Norman Osborn. This is my office, and you've trashed it. And my people that you just smacked around. Would you like to have a drink and talk about it? Meanwhile, over in Times Square, the invasion has begun. The Skrull are attacking the city, with the young Avengers trying their hardest to hold them back. Kate Bishop manages to leap over another blast of energy. Guys, this is a little bit over our heads, don't you think? She shouts, with Patriot leaping through the air, saving a child from being crushed by a car. What are we supposed to do, Kate? Leave? He shouts as the others continue to fight around them. Vision warns the young heroes that he can't get in touch with either the Avengers or the Initiative at Camp Hammond. They're Skrulls, and I'm half one. Maybe I can talk to them. Hulkling shouts as he pulls a street sign off of someone. He rushes forward, trying to speak with the Skrulls and ask them to stop, but the aliens turn on him with their weapons, blasting him and tearing apart his skin. Wiccan tries to rush forward to help, but the Skrull with Giant Man's powers steps forward, punching him down, knocking him across the street and into a building. The young Avengers move to help their friends, but Kate points up into the sky with relief. Guys, it's gonna be okay, the Initiative is here, she shouts, and the heroes in training leap into the fight with Gauntlet calling out to them. Teams of 3, hold the line until cavalry comes. Nothing fancy, he shouts as he punches the giant Skrull in the head, knocking him away. Back in the Savage Land, Tony is sweating as he continues to work on his armor. The alien virus is hitting him like pneumonia, but he looks up as Jessica Drew steps through the doorway. How you feeling, Tony? She asks, and he glares at her before returning to his work. Not to be impolite, but I'd as soon not talk to you or anyone till we figure this out. He tells her, sweat still pouring out of his forehead, and she smiles. You can relax now. You did it. Your work on Earth is done. You'll go down in our people's history as the greatest soldier the Armada has ever had, and you will always and forever have the love of your queen, she says, stepping forward, kissing him, but Tony pulls away, not believing what she's saying, telling her that he isn't a Skrull. I know that's what you think. That's what you were trained to think, she tells him, but he refuses to believe it, even as she tells him that everything that has happened was according to his plan. Back in the city, the Skrulls are winning. Their strength is too much. Local reporters watch as the Skrulls turn their energy weapons on Vision. You will not win, Vision tells them before he's destroyed. The Skrulls then turn their attention to the rest of the heroes. But they pause as the city begins to quake and the buildings begin to rumble, and an energy blast hits one of them, exploding. The others look up in shock, covered in the green blood of their friend. Nick Fury steps forward with his secret warriors, priming the massive gun that he holds as they power up. All right, commandos, let's turn this thing around. He shouts to his troops as they launch into battle. Back with Reed Richards. He opens his eyes. His body is stretched out, surrounded by Skrull scientists as they prepare to dissect him. Over the Earth, the Skull Armada floats. Their invasion is already underway. Agent Brand floats through space, the crew of the Peak already dead. Her own oxygen almost gone. Far below her, Miss Marvel has reached New York City, but she is shocked to find that it is a war zone, with the Baxter Building being swallowed up by the Negative Zone portal. But as she draws closer, the Skrull forces fly up to meet her and hit her with their energy beams, knocking her to the streets below. She staggers to her feet, shocked to see the combined efforts of the Young Avengers, the Initiative, and Fury's Secret Warriors holding the Skrulls at bay. Nick Fury? Carol says in surprise, and Fury's Secret Warriors continue to fight, knocking the Skrull invaders away. All right, you punks, let's wrap this up. I got things to do, Fury shouts. Carol leaps into the fight, lashing out at any nearby Skrulls. Not sure you Skrulls brought enough, she shouts, but one of the Skrulls grabs her by the throat, a blast from Fury's massive rifle, bringing the alien warrior down. Carol staggers to her feet as Fury gathers everyone around him to be teleported away. What about Miss Marvel? Stonewall asks, and Fury steps forward, raising his weapon. I'll take care of this one, he says before firing a blast that knocks Carol Danvers away. Skrull a Skrull. Fury growls before the Secret Warriors disappear. Carol is shocked as she slams into the ground, the remaining Skrulls quickly surrounding her. But back in the Savage Land, Natasha presses her back against the wall, listening as Jessica Drew continues to tell Tony that he is actually a Skrull sleeper agent, that he's been working towards the invasion of Earth, and that the real Tony Stark is long dead. Your real name is Kalriki Dulu, Jessica tells him, and Natasha steps out, bringing up her pistol. But there's a rustling in the jungle behind her, and she whirls around to see Jean Grey and Beast step out of the jungle. Natasha dives through the air, firing her pistol into both mutants until they drop, transforming into Skrulls right before her eyes. She turns, stepping into the lab, aiming her pistol at Tony Stark, who is now alone. You didn't happen to see where she went, did you? Oh, Jessica! Natasha calls out as she scans the room and moves forward, grabbing Tony, who is still weak. She did a number on you. Black Widow whispers, leaning down, giving Tony a shot of adrenaline that keeps him on his feet. Might be a Skrull. He gasps at her, but Natasha shakes her head. You're not a Skrull. She was working for you, she tells him, and he shakes his head, but Natasha explains that the Skrulls are working for him because he is one of the 5 people on the planet that can stop them. It's not enough to take you out. They want you defeated. Tony, Skrull or not, I'm asking you right now, do you want to kill me or kill them? He nods, looking up at her. Them. He gasps, and she smiles. Let's go with that feeling then, and worry about the rest later. Natasha suddenly whirls around, firing as Wolverine steps through the door. The rounds chew through him and he drops to the floor. Damn it, Tasha! He gasps as the bullets push out of his skin and he begins to heal. Sorry about that, I'm shooting first and asking questions later until further notice. The 2 heroes turn to Tony and ask him what his next move is. We need Reed Richards, he tells them. Meanwhile, up in space, Agent Brand has managed to sneak aboard one of the Skrull ships before her oxygen gave out. Inside, she is shocked to discover that the aliens have captured Reed Richards. Below them, Maria Hill is still speaking with Jarvis, asking why he thinks that he'll be able to get her off of the ship before he dies. I don't think that you're seeing the gravity of your situation, Jarvis tells her as all of the agents around Maria shapeshift into Skrulls and aim their weapons at her. We're prepared to accept your surrender, Jarvis tells her. Back in New York, the battle has ended and now the Skrulls have begun to corral the civilians. But they look to the sky as lightning cracks above. A god has arrived and he is not alone. The city's symbol of hope also joins the battle. Meanwhile, Norman Osborn continues speaking to Mar-Vell. Let me tell you, I know something about having voices in my head. Voices pulling you in different directions. Only one person can decide who you are inside and out, and that is you, he says, asking Mar-Vell if he knew that he was a Skrull before they activated him. No, the powerful hero whispers, and Norman nods. You thought you were the Kree warrior Mar-Vell, a man of honor, the warrior, Earth's protector. You thought you were here to protect us in our time of need. He reaches out and puts a hand on Mar-Vell's shoulder. I'm so sorry. he says softly, and Mar-Vell suddenly bellows with rage, flying away. The rest of Norman's soldiers rushing into the room, and Norman straightens his tie as he watches Mar-Vell flee. He then turns back to his men, ordering them to search for Venom. The rest of the Thunderbolts on their feet. "We're at war," he tells them all. Meanwhile, the Skrulls have begun to broadcast their message to the world. In the base of the Secret Warriors, Nick Fury orders everyone to listen, and everyone around the world watches the computer screens as the Skrulls begin to take on the vision of their favorite celebrities and politicians, the ones that everyone trusts. The Skrulls explain that the Earth is now a part of their empire, that the Skrulls have no need to attack the people, and that they will only fight against those that fight them. They promise that they are here to help mankind fix the Earth and usher in a new era of peace. Meanwhile, up in space, Abigail Brand has begun to fight back. She manages to defeat 2 guards and grab their weapons, leaping down into the science room where they're about to dissect Reed Richards. After the soldiers are defeated, she rushes to the console and tries to order the ship to evacuate, but she pauses, screaming, "Screw it." She hits the button, venting all of the Skrulls into space. Afterwards, she rushes over to Reed, hitting a few more buttons to try and allow him to reform. "Dr. Richards, my name is Agent Abigail Brand. I am the director of SWORD, and we are at war with the Skrull Empire. I need you too." But Reed rears up, grabbing her by the throat. "My children! Skrull! Where's my wife? Give them to me or I will kill you right now!" He snarls at her, but he releases her when he realizes that she didn't shapeshift. She drops to the floor, turning back to the computers. He then realizes what is going on Earth. "I know what we need," he whispers to himself. Aboard her helicarrier, Maria glances at the Skrulls that now surround her, but she only smiles, trying to tell Jarvis a funny story about life model decoys. But Jarvis just shakes his head and orders his soldiers to shoot her. Rounds rip through Maria Hill and she falls to the ground, revealing the mechanical workings underneath her skin. High above them, the real Maria Hill aims her sniper rifle, opening fire. They whirl and return fire, but Maria leaps away, ordering the helicarrier to self-destruct. She falls through the air and activates a jetpack on her back, flying away as the helicarrier and all the Skrulls on board explode behind her. Back on the Skrull ship, Brand wakes up to find Reed working on a computer nearby. "I did a genetics test, Miss Brand. I believe you're not a Skrull. Sorry I choked you out." But Brand realizes that the ship is shaking, and Reed explains that they are now under attack. He orders her to get to the bridge and learn how to fly the ship, but there's a massive explosion outside. "Are we hit?" Brand asks, but Reed shakes his head, looking at the sensors. "That wasn't us! It's Miss Marvel!" he shouts, and they watch as Mar-Vell flies through the Skrull armada, destroying everything in his path. Brand grabs the controls as Reed shouts for her to get them to New York. She shakes her head. "The Earth is dying, Doctor. We're going to New York, but we have a couple of people to pick up first or the show's over." With that, she aims the ship for the Savage Lands. Back in the Savage Lands, the remaining heroes have met with Kazar and Shauna, and no one can trust whether the others are Skrulls. "I know which of you are Skrulls and which are not," Emma Frost shouts as she steps out of the jungle with Miss Marvel and Jessica Jones. She promises to make the Skrulls pay for what they did. "I'm talking to you, Mr. Spider-Man. I know exactly who and what you are." Spider-Man shakes his head, looking around at the others. "Well, okay, now that's a big old lie. I know you're the Skrull," he shouts, and everyone begins to argue, preparing to enter the big fight once again. But a blast of energy smashes into the ground around them, and Tony looks up to see Reed Richards leaning out of a Skrull ship overhead. As the smoke clears, the Skrulls have been revealed. The real heroes leaping into fight as Clint turns to Bobby, and his eyes widen as he realizes that the woman that he vouched for is a Skrull. With a bellow of rage, he grabs one of Natasha's guns, opening fire, killing the Skrull that had taken the face of his wife. Reed jumps down, wrapping his arms around the Skrull that looked like Sue. "Where are my children?" "You have children?" she gasps, and with the fight over, Natasha picks up Tony. "See? I told you you're not a Skrull," she says with a smile. The Skrull ship lands and Brand steps out. "Ladies and gentlemen of the human race, New York City is under siege and the Earth is under the control of the Skrull Empire. Anyone in the mood to do anything about that, hop on board." Kazar and Shauna promise to hunt down the rest of the Skrulls in the Savage Land as the others board the ship. Luke steps over to Clint, who is kneeling over the body of Skrull Bobby. He tries to console him, but Clint pushes him away. "Listen to me, all of you. This doesn't end until every last one of them dies. You hear me? Every last one of them! He yells out. And there you have it, another cliffhanger. Now make sure you like and subscribe as we're going to be concluding this next week. Or you can go check out your digital retailer or local comic book store and just buy it and see what happens in it. Either way, I will be bringing you the next part of this very soon, and I hope you guys are as excited for it as I am to bring it to you. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.